Insanity over illegal immigration, that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. As we reported extensively last night, a 14-year-old girl in Rockville, Maryland was raped in a high school bathroom by two men allegedly in this country illegally. The incident is beyond shocking. An 18-year-old from Guatemala and a 17-year-old from El Salvador were freshmen at the school. Freshmen. Authorities say they dragged the 14-year-old into a bathroom, brutally raped her. Fox News covered the story extensively, as I said, last night. But ABC, NBC, and CBS did not cover it on their nightly news broadcasts, nor did they cover it this morning, and they have hours of airtime in the morning. CNN did not cover the Maryland story in prime time last night. Ditto MSNBC. That is beyond anything I have ever seen in my 40 years plus of journalism. A story of that magnitude ignored by the national media. We all know why. Illegal immigration is a political issue. President Trump has made the apprehension of undocumented criminals a top priority. The Democratic Party is resisting that, saying that all illegal aliens are being demonized, and that presents a danger to that community. Now, every fair-minded American knows the immigration system is broken, and Congress has refused to fix it. As I said last night, we don't know who's here, we don't know where they are, and we don't know what they're doing. They being people who illegally enter this country. It is beyond the pale that even after this poor 14-year-old girl has had her life brutalized, even after that, the Maryland House of Delegates actually voted to make the state a sanctuary situation. Thankfully, the governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, has said he'll veto that legislation. But how on earth could members of that Maryland body, after this poor young girl gets attacked, do that? It's incomprehensible. Many Americans have had enough. For decades, Congress has looked the other way as billions of people have poured into the USA without proper credentials. Most of these people are harmless, and many contribute to our society. But the fact remains that the federal government has lost control over the immigration process, and that many states and cities will not obey federal law, creating anarchy. Here's the best example I can give you. Between January 28th and February 3rd of this year, more than 3,000 detainers were ordered by the Department of Homeland Security. That means that local jurisdictions were asked to hold illegal aliens in jail who ICE considered dangerous. 206 of those aliens were released by the sanctuary places despite the federal demand. 142 of those released came from one place, Travis County in Texas. That's Austin. We trust Texas officials will stop that madness in Travis County as they have promised. But you can see how anarchy is being openly practiced in some places. Comes a time when citizens of any country have to demand justice, demand protection, demand the law be respected. We have not come to that time yet in America. We have a president who vows to stop the illegal alien criminal madness, but we have a media that openly opposes that, allowing the sanctuary movement to pretty much run wild. And that's a memo. Now for reaction, joining us from Miami, Elvira Salazar, news anchor for Mega TV, and with us here in New York, Eric Bolling, host of The Five. Ms. Salazar, begin with you. Did Mega TV cover the Maryland story?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't we? We know the community. We're not going to be covering criminals. I mean, if somebody, like you said, a 14-year-old child is raped and sodomized in a male bathroom at 9 o'clock in the morning in her own high school, in my book, you may burn them at the stake.
Okay, so
I have no problems with that. Whether they're illegal, let me just finish. Illegal or illegal. But also, Mr. O'Reilly, I think that we should say that I also cover that I do not want to, because of this case, or the Kate Steinle, or many others, we don't want to stigmatize millions and millions of illegals who are also here illegal, but they are contributing to our community.
I think you have to give the viewers of Mega TV and Fox News credit enough to know that not all undocumented people are criminals. We must give them the credit to know that.
Yes.
Right? We're not morons.
Absolutely.
But I'm glad to hear that your organization covered the story responsibly, but the others did not. Were you surprised, Ms. Salazar, that the major networks and our cable competition ignored the story?
Well, I would only think that it's because they want to be politically correct.
Okay.
Because they do not want to hurt or they don't want to offend the Hispanic community, which we are the largest community or the largest minority, I should say, in the country. But I don't have that problem.
Okay.
I can talk to
But
my
there's
people
one more
and
thing.
I can tell
They
them
don't
exactly
wanna-
what's happening.
There's one more thing you missed. They don't want to help President Trump. And isn't that what this is about?
Well, I'm not sure it's that. It's that they're liberal. The mainstream media.
But step back for a minute.
Oh, okay.
There's no reason on earth that this story, as big as it is, all right, shouldn't be covered. Would you see that?
Absolutely agree with you.
Right, you guys covered it on the 5. We covered it. Every primetime show on Fox covered it.
Yep.
Now, to not cover it, you have to make a decision.
Right.
And I believe the decision is we're not going to cover it because it'll help President Trump.
Fair enough, but I think there's an even deeper issue there, that the media is liberal, and liberals have always been the pro-immigration on the side of the illegal immigrants, because there's one reason for that. If you are the party that does that brings illegals into the mainstream, gives them citizenship, gives them the vote, you will never lose another vote.
Okay, but
as
what
long as
about
you
the
live.
14-year-old girl? What about the system that puts an 18 and
I'm
a
in agreement with you,
17-year-old
Bill.
in a freshman class?
Who in the world thinks it's okay for an 18 and 17-year-old to be a freshman? Who in the world thinks
but
it's
if
okay?
the media doesn't cover it, then people don't know about
You
it.
can't even ask if someone is illegal. That's against the law to say, are you
These
illegal?
pinheads in Maryland, some of them even justified putting 2 guys who had just arrived in this country illegally, all right, into a freshman class when they were 17 and 18. They justified it.
Well, you want to know when it ends? When President Trump says, there are so many programs, federal programs, welfare, Medicaid, school.
I'm talking to
choice.
media now. I don't want to get into
Well, if
legislation.
you want to stop it, though,
story,
stop it.
Ms.
The story
Salazar,
is
last
bigger,
word.
Mr.
Go.
O'Reilly.
Go.
This is bigger. The story is bigger. The problem, we are looking at one point, and like I've said many times before, we have to go to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is Central America. Those 2 monsters that raped this 14-year-old child are from Central America, Guatemala and El Salvador. And that's what Mr. Trump should do, go to the root of the problem. Honduras and Salvador have the highest murder rate in the world. So if you are the parent of that monster, you would say, and I'm so sorry for the mother, you would say, hey, go north, go to the United States where they're going to treat you well because they know we have laws.
Right.
And that's what happened. They have been here for only 9 months.
The United States cannot run Central American countries, but we appreciate the debate.
But
Thank you very much.
Mr. Trump could go and help them put their house in order, Mr. O'Reilly.
Very, very difficult, Ms. Salazar. If you've been down there, it's centuries-old corruption.